Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord. I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. Jesus got the news. Lazarus is sick. And immediately he tells his people, tells his disciples, he's just sleeping. And when they were not paying attention and getting what was going on, giving all that good Christianese answers because they wanted to believe, they wanted to be a part of it, oh, well, he's just resting. Until Jesus got real blunt and plain with them and said, hey, he's dead. Pay attention. He's dead. But that's okay. Because I'm going to go and raise him up. I'm going to go and do what everybody else is whining about, talking about, and everything else. I'm going to fix. Because you know what? I am the truth, the light, and the way. I am the resurrection. I am the thing that makes you live. Just like we sang earlier. You're what makes my heart beat again. I remember being in the world, existing. As a matter of fact, wishing at times that I was dead. Because my life sucked. And I was self-destructing it every single day. But the day I asked Christ to be in me and welcomed him into my life, my heart began to beat again. I began to feel alive for the first time in a very, very, very long time. When I finally gave that rebel heart to him and quit worrying about me and what's in it, how I can get it myself. His disciples are sitting there and they're going, he's sick and resting, he'll be all right. Just leave him alone, he'll be good. You can just sleep this one off. His sisters are beside themselves. Their brother just passed away. I know that if Jesus was here, how do I know? Because I spent time with him. I know who he is. Martha says, I know that you're the Christ. I know your power. I know your abilities. Had you been here, my brother wouldn't be in that tomb. If you had Christ in your life would not be in that tomb right now. Things wouldn't look the way they do. They wouldn't be smelling the way they smell. Because Martha begins to tell him, look, he's been in there for 4 days. There's a stench going on. We've all smelled something dead before. And every day it begins to stink even more and more and more. It's not a sweet-smelling savor. It's not an incense you want to take in. It's not. Back in that day, they would actually have people who would come and they would mourn with you. They didn't even have to know you, but they would mourn with you. My Bible says to weep with those who weep.
Amen.
Be there for one another. That's what it's saying. Last night, me and my wife went on a date. Few and far in between. But we went on a date last night and went and seen Jumanji. Pastor, that's been out for over a month. I know, we were a little slow, I said, few and far in between. But as we were there, we got a message. And last night, my wife found out that her uncle passed away in a car wreck about 3 months ago. It was difficult to swallow. We went to dinner afterwards, and my wife is going back and forth with our daughter, with her brother, and her other brother, and just trying to let people know, because none of the family knew. We had just asked, I wonder if Uncle Eldon's still around. Come to find out, they were up by Douglas City towards Weaverville, got in a head-on collision. He died instantly on the scene. His wife's got some issues going on in her neck. She's in a neck brace, different things. His funeral was in December, I think, or November. And family had no clue. Blindsided. We're just like, wow. I didn't have a close relationship with him. And so it didn't hit me the way it hit my wife. That's okay. That's okay. My compassion and my heart breaks for my wife. I want to be there and help my wife get through this the best that she can. That's her family. That's her uncle. Mary and Martha, that was their brother. All of a sudden, he's sick and now dead. They're weeping, they're mourning. Their hearts are broken. And Jesus waits 2 days before he comes. Why? Not because he was mad at Lazarus. Not because he didn't care about Lazarus. Not because he didn't care about the situation. Not because he didn't have the power at that very moment to just speak his healing. And Lazarus would have stood up. Fever would have gone. Whatever was going on would have vanished. But because he says the Son of God will be lifted up, and you people will see what happens, and it will be for your benefit to believe.
Amen.
For your benefit to believe, because the power of God is going to have compassion upon this situation and change it. Unfortunately, we don't wait for God to change our situations, and then we try and do it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Or we accept what's going on. We have the power of life and death in our tongues. Sometimes in the middle of that situation or conversation, we spew things out of our mouth because that's what we truly believe. See, Martha said, if you were here, he wouldn't have died. It's your fault, Jesus. If you were here, the one you loved, my brother, would not have passed away. It wasn't Jesus' fault that Lazarus got sick. Sickness is not from heaven. Car wrecks are not from heaven. Cancers are not from heaven. Tumors are not from heaven. Overdoses are not from heaven. Suicides are not from heaven.
Come on.
They're not. Those are choices that people make and things that people end up with. And because they don't believe in the strength of the Lord Jesus Christ, they live with them. And they deal with them. Sometimes people get drunk and get behind the wheel of a car, and an innocent family is the circumstances of it. A bad decision by somebody outside the realm does bad things in the world and ends up in heartache and death. I'm not saying that this particular incident, this guy was drinking, or what the circumstances of this wreck were. We do not know. We just know that it happened. But what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter what the circumstance is. God is the answer.
Amen.
Amen.
Not the fault. He's the solution, not the blame.
That's right.
He didn't take him. He received him. If he had a personal relationship. We know that they were Seventh-day Adventists, and that does not say, oh, well, they can't go to heaven. There are plenty of Seventh-day Adventists that absolutely love God and have a relationship. Baptists, Lutherans, Nazarites, even Pentecostals. I know. They're crazy. They roll around on the floor. They speak in some weird language. They get to go too.
Amen.
Just saying. Verse 28. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary, her sister, saying, the teacher has come and is calling for you. I didn't see anywhere in the Bible where Jesus said, go get your sister. I didn't see that. She went away and secretly said, hey, you need to go see the teacher. I believe that Martha realized what she was doing, her state of mind, her mentality, the way she was going about this entire thing, and all of a sudden the compassion for her sister being in that same realm, that same mentality and everything else, she goes, hey, you need to go see the teacher. Because he's going to straighten you out real quick. Because this isn't the way we're supposed to be acting. It's okay. As a matter of fact, it's biblical that when you see a brother or sister just beside themselves, to join up with them and help them focus back to the teacher.
Amen.
As a matter of fact, if you don't do that, then you're going to stand before God and answer to why you didn't. I am a firm believer in that. I am a firm believer in the fact that we are going to have to stand before God and answer why we didn't do more than why we did do. I'm serious. That's how I feel. That's how God has put it upon me. That He says, you know what? I've called you to be set apart, to be different, to be here, and to teach, and to help, and to have compassion. What did He tell Peter? Peter, do you love me? Then feed my sheep. Hey, Peter, do you love me? Tend my flock. Peter, do you love me? Without love, you're not going to move. Because compassion is motivated through love. Nothing else. Love. There's an issue. It hurts. Let's fix it. Why does it hurt? Because it ain't right. Why is it not right? Because something inside me says, you know what, they deserve better than this. When I talked to David, I told him, I said, you know when you see your kids needing something and you have the ability to give it to them, but they won't ask you for it, and you know that if you just give it to them, it's not going to work. But if they ask you for it, you could help them, and it'll help make things better. Yeah, that's what God's sitting there waiting for you to do. He's got everything you need, but He wants you to ask Him.
Amen.
He's already prepared it for you. He's got it put out there for you. It's yours for the taking, but you haven't asked or taken it yet.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
What are you going to do? How are you going to handle this? Mary and Martha are saying, if you were here, it wouldn't be this way. Not, praise God, you're here. Things are going to change. Jesus walked up, and everybody's crying. As a matter of fact, the Jews had showed up. And now there's a whole crowd of people crying. Why? Because that's what was going on, so they joined in. Some of them may have even known Lazarus. But they seen what was happening, and because Mary and Martha were crying, they're crying. Because Mary and Martha's heart was sad, and so were theirs. You see, there was some compassion there for some of them. Some of them may have been paid, because that was a paying job back then. Because they seen that it was important for people to have people with them, to help them process.
Amen.
But Jesus said that's not what we should be doing right now. And when Martha figured this out, she says, hey, Mary, the teacher wants you. I remember whenever somebody would come to me and say, the teacher wants you, or my sister would say, Mom and Dad want you, I'd just been ratted out. Let's be real. All of a sudden, everything that I've ever done in my life is flashing before my face. What did I do? What did they figure out? What did they find out? What was done in secret they didn't know about? What am I in trouble for now? Come on now. I do that to my kids. You need to get in my room. At 41 years old, Jamie still freaks out. I know it's sad, but I do. And I enjoy it. You don't know how much information I've gotten out of them freely. Spill it. It's better for you to tell me. Verse 29 says, as soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but was in the place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, followed her, saying, she is going to the tomb to weep there. Then when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Deja vu. Sister just said the same thing. They're both in that place of if you would have been here. My Bible says, and he said to us earlier, audibly, I'm with you. I'm with you always. I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. I will stick closer to you than a brother. Mary says the same thing her sister says. If you would have been here. I got news for you. He's here.
Amen.
He's here. He's in every situation, in every complicated thing. He's in every single moment of every single day.
Amen.
Because he loves you. Not because he has to. Not because, he's bound to. He's bound to because he said he would. And he is a man of his word. And he's not going to break it for anything. But he bound that and said that because he's compelled by his love to be with you.
Amen. Yep.
To be with you. That's pretty awesome.
Yes.
Verse 33 says, therefore, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, and he groaned in his spirit and was troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. And verse 35 says that Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, see how he loved him? And some of them said, could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also have kept this man from dying? Again, if you would have been here,
3 times.
Mary, Martha, and now the Jewish people. Isn't that the miracle maker? The healer? Couldn't he have done something about this? Jesus seen the situation. Did he love Lazarus? Absolutely. Was he weeping for Lazarus? No. No. Pastor, how can you say that? He just died. Because I read the first part of that story.
That's right.
He heard about him, knew he was going to die, and said, I'm just going to raise him up. Don't worry, he's sleeping. I knew what was going on. I know. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move in such a mighty way that it's going to benefit you guys more than anything. Yes, Lazarus is going to be a beneficiary of this as well. But you know what's going to go on? What is happening here is going to glorify the Son of God. And it's going to be on your behalf so that you can believe what's going on and who I am and the powers that I will give unto you and use on your behalf.
Amen.
Isn't that guy? That tells me that they didn't have a relationship. Isn't that? I've heard about him. Didn't he open the eyes of that guy? Didn't he smear some mud in that guy's eye? And the next thing you know, he was able to see? Isn't that the same guy that when they lowered homie down through the roof, he snatched up his bed and walked out? Is that same guy? Because if he would have been here, Lazarus wouldn't be dead. If he would have been here, none of this would be going on. We would have probably killed the fatted calf instead. Every single one of us in here have had that if Jesus was here moment. Mentality. And it's even came out of our mouth. Lord, had you been there, this wouldn't have worked this way. Father, if you were in the middle of this, this wouldn't have happened this way. As a tear rolls down his cheek and he says, son, daughter, I am. I'm right there. You just choose not to believe in me in this situation. You choose to want to handle it yourself. You choose to have that I'm here alone, isolated mentality. Instead of having I am a son or a daughter of the Most High God, the creator of everything. The great I am has my back and he's with me through thick and through thin. See, when Jesus spoke to Mary and Martha, they figured out, hold up, I need to change the way I'm thinking. Where's he at? Show me the tomb. Verse 38 says, then Jesus again groaned in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone laid against it. Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days. See, she still hasn't quite got it. He stinks. He's dead. He's decaying now. Verse 40 says, Jesus said to her, did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was laying, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me. And I know that you always hear me, but because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. Now when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died came out bound hand and foot with grave clothes, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, "Loose him and let him go." Loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews who had came to Mary and had seen the things Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them the things Jesus did. Then the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered a council and said, "What shall we do? For this man works many signs. If we let him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation." And one of them, Caiaphas, being high priest that year, said to them, "You know nothing at all, nor do you consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and not that the whole nation should perish." Now this he did not say on his own authority, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for that nation only, but also that he would gather together in one the children of God who were scattered abroad. You see, Jesus bringing Lazarus back from the dead in the fashion he did it. I believe that when he called Lazarus, had he just said, "Arise and come forth," that there would have been many people that came out of that tomb that day. Why? Because he's that powerful. But he was specific and he said, "Lazarus, come forth." And that's exactly what happened. Lazarus came forth. And he walked again. He breathed again. His heart beat again. He was again with his sisters. And the compassion that moved upon Jesus for the people, not just Mary and Martha, but for the people. Because it said, "I'm going to do this so that you believe." It says, even some of the people there believed in him that day. Why? Because they've seen it with their own eyes. They've seen it with their own eyes. When people in your circle see you not be moved because of a situation, because of your love and your relationship with God, and it worked out because you trusted and had faith in God, it will cause them to believe in that same God. "Lord, I know you've already heard me," he said. "You know what's going on. But for these people who are lost, I'm going to do it this way. For these people to see and believe, for it to change their mentality, for it to change their heart, for them to know that they know that they know that they know that they know, I am the Christ who came, who was sent by you to be there for the people." Even Caiaphas was sitting there and he was saying, "Hey, this is what's going on. It should be that this one man die for the entire nation, because if he doesn't die, Rome is going to come and they're going to take everything we got." You see, Caiaphas didn't really care about the nation. He cared about himself. Because if Rome comes, they're dethroning Caiaphas. He's no longer going to be in power. He's no longer going to have that nice house. He's no longer going to have all that money. He's just going to be a common folk like everybody else. He's going to be taxed like everybody else. He's going to be treated like everybody else. As a matter of fact, he's probably going to be treated in the way that he's treating everybody else. And he still ain't going to have a relationship with God. And so all this pious nonsense, all this religiosity that he's been walking in is getting ready to vanish. And he says, hey, this is what's up. And the word says that he said this not of his own will, but he actually prophesied, because we know that that one man died for the nation. As a matter of fact, that one died for the world. For every man and woman who ever took a breath. See, he was thinking that this is the easy way out. Jesus had compassion on the people. His word says that there's no greater gift than for one man to give up his life for another. You see, Caiaphas didn't take Jesus' life. That cross had no power to take Jesus' life. Jesus gave up his life for you. In Luke chapter 19, verse 41, it says, now as he drew near, he saw the city and wept over it, saying, if you had known, even you especially in this your day, this thing that makes for your peace, but now they are hidden from your eyes. For days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment around you, surround you, and close you in on every side, and level you and your children within you to the ground. And they will not leave in you one stone upon another, because you did not know the time of your visitation. You see, God, compelled by love, to move on your behalf, to change your situation, not his, yours. Seeing that there was an issue, and seeing that you didn't have the solution, sent his son to die on a cross, to pay a debt you couldn't pay, to make a way you couldn't build, to right the wrongs that you created. Having compassion on you where you really didn't deserve it. But loved you anyway. Loved you enough to make a way out of the darkness and into the light. To bring you out of that cave and out of that grave. And let you enjoy life. But I got news for you. Nobody is guaranteed tomorrow. Not one of us. A family member was just driving down the road. Never made it to the destination. Last night on I-5, just south of Reading. There was a head-on collision on I-5. Fatal wreck. My destination is not here on this earth. My destination is not inside this earth. My destination is heaven. Why? Because I've accepted Christ as my Lord and Savior. And He's called me to show you there is a way.
Amen.
To be a light in the darkness. To show you that, you know what? Even a rebel heart can be given to God. It can. You got to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And when you finally get to that place of being sick and tired of being sick and tired, you'll finally surrender that rebel heart unto a God who cares and loves, who has made a way and will straighten out your path. But your work's not done there. You got to believe. You got to trust. You got to be compelled to move out of love in the right direction. It's up to you. It's up to you. He says, I am the resurrection, the truth, and the life. Nobody comes to the Father except for through the Son.
Hallelujah.
And the cool part is, you can do that today.
Yeah.
You can do that right now. And you can be just like Lazarus, rising from the dead. Doesn't matter how bad your life stinks. It doesn't. Believe me, I know. My life was horrible. Praise God that He brought me a wife who can't smell skunk.
Amen.
Because that's what I smelled like. Straight and nasty. My life was horrible. But not anymore. Father, we just thank you. We praise you. We thank you that you love us. That you have compassion upon us. And that your compassion compels you to do things that are uncharacteristic as far as humans understand. That your love surpasses all understanding. And that you'll leave the 99 to go get the one. That you made a way for me to be able to have a relationship with you. That you paid for my sins, even though I didn't deserve it. But your love compelled you, and your compassion moved you to make a way for me and everybody else. And Father, your word says that if we will believe in our heart and confess with our mouth, oh Lord, that we can be heirs with you in heaven and be adopted into that royal family. So Father, today, I thank you. I believe in you. Father, I profess with my mouth and I believe in my heart. And if that's you today, just tell him, Lord, I believe you. I believe you made a way for me. I believe you made a way for me. I believe that you died on that cross. That you took my sins to hell and you buried them there. And you rose 3 days later so that I too could rise in you. So that I too could have life and life more abundantly. And Father, I accept you today. I believe in the truth. I thank you for the truth. I want life. And I want life more abundantly. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick of trying to figure this out. I'm sick of it. It don't make sense. It never works. Father, I want to do what's right and what's new. I want to be new. Father, in Jesus' name, thank you. Amen.